If you're not really sure whether you should get the DJI Avata 2 or not, or maybe get something like the Mini 4 Pro, honestly, I would say get the Avata 2. If I only had one drone that I could use, it would definitely be the Avata 2. Now let's talk about it. Now I've had this for a few weeks now and I've really enjoyed it. It was actually a birthday present, and I usually don't get presents like this, but this has been fantastic. I do have a few drones of my own, and I used to own the Avata 1, as well as the original DJI FPV. Both of those drones really required a GoPro on top to get any type of good video. But this thing is different. The shots you can get with this are out of this world. The 04 Pro Air unit that is in this drone produces such a beautiful 10-bit 4K video that for me, honestly, I might be retiring my GoPro. But first, let's talk about the pros and cons of the drone, and we're gonna start with the cons. Now, there are only a handful of things I really don't like about this. One, because it's connected to GPS, you do have some limitations and restrictions depending where you are. And for many reasons, it's understandable if you're filming in a location that you really shouldn't be. But there are some moments where it locks you off at 120 meters because of an airport or something that's miles away, even though you wouldn't interfere at all if you just went 200 meters. But there are a lot of restrictions and geofences, and what will happen is if you reach the top, as you see in this video, the drone will just stop and go into the hover mode or in the normal mode. At that point, you have to descend a little bit, switch it back into manual mode, and then fly around. So having these restrictions, I will say, sometimes is annoying, and it hasn't happened to me yet because I haven't gone traveling with this. But I could definitely see myself in a situation trying to climb a mountain that's 600 meters high, but this drone is only built to go 500 meters, and it'll just stop at that height, and if you want to film something slightly above, you just can't. Now that's the first thing I have a problem with. The second thing is I feel like this one is a little bit less durable than the Avata 1. This is not actually my first unit. The first unit I crashed almost right away, trying to use the motion controller. Fell from a height of, I don't know, 5 meters or so, and the guards just broke, breaking the propeller as well and actually damaging the camera. I remember with the Avata 1, I was able to rip at really high speeds, crashing directly into trees, cars, buildings, all sorts of things. And worst case, the guard would get destroyed, but you could actually replace the guard. Here it seems they've built some sort of one case system where the guards and the top are all one unit, so you would have to replace pretty much the whole drone. And I would say those are the only two things I don't like about this drone. Other than that, let's talk about the good stuff. First of all, obviously the image quality. That 10-bit 4K image looks so good. I actually didn't get the settings right in the beginning. There are some advanced settings that a lot of people don't tell you about, where you do have to bring the sharpness down and the noise reduction down a little bit. I use -2 in the sharpening and then -1 in the noise reduction, and that gives such a beautiful image that I'm in love with. The Avata 1 had the 03 Air unit, and although that was okay, it didn't really meet my standard, especially when trying to match my FPV shot with maybe some A-roll shots with an FX3. So I'd use that stupid idea mount and put a GoPro on top. With this one, I don't need that at all. It is so good, in fact, that I actually have already purchased a 6-inch FPV quad with that 04 Pro unit in the front, and I'm so excited to film with this. I haven't started yet. The batteries just arrived today, and I'm going to be using this for some long-range flying. So excited for it. This has a 1/1.3-inch sensor, which is actually larger than the GoPro, and you can tell. Colors seem to actually be a little bit better, as well as the dynamic range. And make sure to get ND filters, because without, your footage is not going to look good. If you want a video on that, just let me know and I'll talk about ND filters. But anything FPV, you need those ND filters. Next thing, I really love the flight time. When using a 5-inch drone like this one, sorry, I only have 2 props on, you get about 5 minutes or so with a healthy battery before you gotta land. And that's already a pretty decent flight time. With this guy, you're looking at around 10 minutes, honestly. And I found myself getting tired or a little seasick of flying before I actually finish a battery. But then again, if you're gonna do some long range flying, that extra battery life does come in handy, but usually I find myself returning to home after about 5 minutes or so with still over 50% battery. So what that means is that if you're traveling with a drone like this, especially with the Fly More combo, where you get 3 batteries in this beautiful charging case that charges all of them evenly and just beautifully with USB-C, is you can pretty much do an entire trip with just this batteries, because you can use the same battery multiple times. Shoot a little bit here, shoot a little bit there. That's just something that you're not really going to be doing with a 5-inch FPV drone, because usually you do about 1 battery per flight. So in all, you might have up to 30 minutes of flight here, and if you're really smart with your shooting and you're intentional with it, you can get almost an entire video's worth of shots with just these batteries. Batteries are also very smart because they'll discharge slowly because they are smart batteries, unlike these scary things which are used for the custom FPV drones where you have to discharge them yourself or else they'll get unhealthy. The next thing I really like is the range. Again, another upgrade because of the O4 system here is that you get to fly really far. Range and connection on this is ridiculous. It has a higher bit rate of 60 megabits per second, which basically tells you how good your connection is. The original O3 Air unit in the Avata 1 had about 11-kilometer range. This one's rated at 13. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to go to either of these because the batteries will die before, or you'll just not have enough battery to come back. But what that means is that in those close quarters flights, you have a lot more penetration through thick objects in terms of your connection, and this is super stable, going behind trees, even behind buildings, something that I would never do on the O3 Air unit. This one, fantastic. The next point is how it flies. Now, this is a Cinewhoop, which means it has these guards here, which is super helpful when going through trees or if you want to fly near people or fragile objects. And another benefit is actually the fact that you can just toss it in your bag and not worry about the props getting damaged. When traveling with a traditional FPV drone, usually this is on your backpack, and these are just sticking everywhere, getting caught in things. A little annoying. But here the props are already attached and they're protected by these guards. But as I was saying, the flight performance I would say is much better than the Avata 1. The Avata 1 felt really awkward even without the GoPro, which is why I was like, all right, I'm just gonna put this on anyways because it doesn't fly super well. But this one carves really nicely. It's a lot smoother, I would say. It's not gonna have the smoothness of a race FPV drone, but given here you're getting that GPS ability, the return to home, all these other features, flying with this is just super smooth. And I noticed that I didn't get that weird yaw dip thing that would happen with the Avata 1 where if you turn too quickly the drone will just dip down. This one doesn't have it at all. Cruises very beautifully, dives quite beautifully. I actually did a couple building dives and it is really smooth. I didn't expect it to be this smooth and it looks great. Mind you, all these shots are stabilized with gyro flow, which means when I'm shooting I do the 4x3 no rock steady 4K wide, and then in gyro flow stabilize everything and it looks really good. Not sure if it's better than the real steady for GoPro, but over time I'll be able to figure out which one I like more. Obviously another advantage is being able to stop and start recording or change your camera angle while you're mid-flight. Again, with more traditional FPV drones, you gotta fix that yourself. And I think this is just exciting as a tool because it pretty much has all the features, especially for safety. As a drone like this is the Mini 4 Pro, and I'll pretty much never go anywhere without this because, you know, it's your standard drone, it's quiet, it gets a beautiful 4K shot, can shoot vertical, photos, whatever, really good range, turn to home function, easiest thing in the world to fly. And this feels like that FPV equivalent where someone can learn this and fly like this. Next thing I really like are the Goggles 3. These have a much better screen than the Goggles Integra or the Goggles 2. I have them up there. The image is quite clear. I haven't really used the cameras on the front. I test them out a little bit and the image is a little bit too zoomed in, so I really wouldn't use it to look around. But I found these to be a lot more comfortable and a lot higher quality than the Goggles 2 and the Integra. I think part of the reason is because the goggles themselves are not pressing against your face. It's actually this piece right here which holds up against your forehead, and then the goggles just set into place in front of your eyes. And it's great. They connect super quickly to, you know, they're FPV goggles, they just work. Actually, I do have a little gripe, and that's the fact that the RC3, the controller for this drone, they didn't really figure out a system for the sticks to be put anywhere else but stuck on the side here, which I'm not a huge fan of. I think it's really easy to lose them that way. I haven't lost them, but I think they should have found a way for them to already be attached, like the TBS Tango controllers, so you don't have to be there screwing them in, because you can't toss it in your bag without them unscrewed, or else you're gonna mess up your joystick. That's also something that I think is kind of annoying. But the controller is lighter and it has that better connection without that weird antenna thing sticking up. Now, enough of technical stuff. Should you go for something more like the Mini 4 Pro or the Avata 2? If you don't know anything about FPV, sure, I would probably generally recommend the Mini 4 Pro. But if you're willing to put a little bit of effort into learning how to fly, even if it means using the remote controller joystick thing right here, this trigger, which is super cute, super cool, and actually my dad and my girlfriend were able to fly the drone relatively comfortably with this, then you can really just get a lot more dynamic shots than a regular drone. Keep in mind, this thing has really good safety features where you have a pause button, so the drone will just stop and hover and basically become like this one, and or you have the normal and sport mode just like this drone. I think the shots you can get out of this are so worth the risks of flying it. It has great return to home, great connection, and the camera quality is just fantastic. But anyways, if you have any comments, let me know down below. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. I really think this is an exciting piece of tech. I luckily enough live here in Shenzhen, China. The DJI headquarters is like a 20-minute walk down the road, and they've been cooking up some crazy things. I heard the Avata 3 is gonna come out soon. Quite interested to see how they could upgrade this one, maybe a slightly better body, or maybe more speed, more power. That would be pretty cool. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. This has been the Avata 2. I seriously highly recommend this drone. It is fantastic. Possibly one of the best drones DJI has made. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.